Small College for Women, Virudhunagar. We welcome you all to the fifth day of National Level 5-Day Online Faculty Development Program on NEP 2020. NEP 2020 states that education must move towards less content and more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems and how to creative and multidisciplinary and how to innovate, adapt and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. With a hope to widen our knowledge on NEP, we have all gathered here. Now, I would like to invite our beloved Madam Dr. M. Chandrakala, Assistant Professor of History and IQAC member, to welcome the gathering.
I deem it a great pleasure to welcome you all to this national level 5-day online faculty development program on NEP 2020 organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of our college. At the outset, I would like to welcome our respected and dynamic principal madam Dr. S.M. Meena Rani, MSc, MPhil, PhD, PGDCA, who meticulously guide us in each and every step of our IQAC activities. I feel extremely happy to welcome our vibrant IQAC coordinator, Dr. S. Sintana ma'am, who is the secret behind the smooth functioning of IQAC. I also much delighted to welcome my dear colleagues and the faculty members from various institutions. It is my honor and privilege to introduce our today's chief guest, Dr. R. Srivaramangai, Assistant Professor, Head, Department of Information Technology, University of Mumbai, Maharashtra. She did her UG graduation, Computer Science, and MCA in Bharathasan University, Trichy. She got her Master of Philosophy degree in Alagappa University, Karaikudi. She has received her PhD in Computer Science from KPCNMU, Jalkand, Maharashtra. She has 20 years of teaching experience and 6 years of programming experience in various private companies in Allahabad and Mumbai. She has held so many administrative roles, worked as an interviewer, expert committee member, resource person, subject expert, IKC committee member, inquiry committee member, and member of various administrative bodies. She was the recipient of Distinguished HOD awarded by CSI Mumbai chapter in January 2017. And the dynamic woman changing the face of Indian cyberspace in March 2021. Best Employee Award by University of Mumbai in 2022. And the referee for PhD thesis and Viva examination. She has given so many invited talks in state level and national level seminars. She also has published many number of research articles in leading journals. She has organized a number of faculty development programs and professor courses for upgrading the professors for being digitally equipped. She is a life member of Computer Society of India, British Council, Academia, Institute of and Electronics Engineers Association, Research Gate, Indian Science Congress Association, and Data Security Council of India. She has an ardent Bharatanatyam dance and also performed dance concerts in several occasions in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Today, Madam is here to share her knowledge and idea on holistic and multidisciplinary education in NEP. I cordially welcome you, ma'am. Once again, I welcome one and all present here.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrakala. Uh, that was a very nice way of you introducing me, and I'm honored for that. Uh, a good afternoon to one and all the participants here in this seminar and also the organizers. First of all, I would like to thank the management of VV Vanya Perumal College under the Virudunagar of Tamil Nadu. The principal, Dr. Meena Rani, the IQAC coordinator, Dr. Sintana, and my dear friend, Dr. Bharani, who all of these people have come together for giving me an opportunity to present my views and also the learning that I have learned from the experts in the field. Dear all esteemed teachers, we all know that NEP 2020 has changed the perception of all towards the education system and is trying to bring a big transformation in the education system. This total change is trying to bring a holistic development which has analyzed our Gurukula system, which was prevalent earlier, and also it has adopted new methods which will bring a complete change in the knowledge acquisition by all the stakeholders, especially the students. So the topic given to me today is holistic and multidisciplinary education, which is expected to bring a complete development among students. So I will now try to share my screen. Hope all of you are able to see this. My screen, is it
Yes, ma'am.
visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I will not go for a slide view because in between I want to view the participants too. Okay. So once I am going to the slide view, then I will lose contact with the participants. So I think the words are visible, the text is visible. Okay, so today's topic is holistic and multidisciplinary education. And you all know, like for past few days, you are listening from various experts in the field about NEP and the perception in the different angles like academic bank of credits, how is the multiple entry, multiple exit is taking place. So today it is about the multidisciplinary education. So why we need and how we are, for teachers, it is more about how we are going to implement this multidisciplinary education and what they are actually referring for multidisciplinary education. So you all know that highlights from NEP I have taken here. The NEP policy consists of 4 parts. One is the part 1 deals with the school education, part 2 deals with the higher education where we are all involved in that, and part 3 is other key areas of focus such as adult education and promoting Indian languages, all the Indian languages, and also they are focusing on online education. Because of this only, you might have heard in the last budget, Honorable Minister of Finance, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman had announced about the digital university. So that is the backbone for this online education. Part 4 is dealing with how all these things can happen, how we are going to implement about it. So let us go one by one. I will not be focusing on school education, but I will touch upon it because we will have to know like how the stages are divided. Otherwise, my focus will be more on part 2, that is higher education, and that also about the multidisciplinary education. So the structure that is being given in schools under NEP are of 4 stages. So 5 years, 3 years, 3 years, and 4 years. Here it is written as foundational stage, which is of 5 years, preparatory stage of 3 years, middle stage of 3 years, and high stage, which is of 4 years. The current 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th falls under this high stage. Okay. So when we talk about NEP, NEP consists of so many aspects, so many matters, so many kind of policies, the subsections within that. So if you're looking at institutional restructuring and consolidation towards a more holistic education, optimal learning, how we are going to make the students capable for industry, teacher education, which is very essential, and vocational educational, professional education, high quality of research, which is very much expected, especially from universities and higher end colleges. How we are going to have the effective governance and leadership in, we call it as academic administration. Transforming the entire regulatory system, you will be knowing that we are going to have a single body as a regulatory system. There won't be any UGC or AICT. There will be a single body in future, and there will be a single accreditation system as well. and also promoting all the Indian languages across the disciplines and across the culture. Of course, we are in the digital era, so we have to implement everything using technology and how we are going to integrate all the modules within that. So this is what is totally about. So I have listed here, just been taken from education world, uh, sections from 10 to 23. Now out of that, the highlighted one is section number 11, 11.1 to 11.13 of the NEP policy talks about towards more holistic education. So my focus today of the topic is this holistic education. So what is this holistic education, which is nothing but in NEP it is being referred as liberal education. Liberal education means it is allowing the students to get a overall development. So it is it sensitizes the students. It is allowing them to interconnect with nature, the human knowledge, as well as the human interaction. So how did they come across this kind of a concept of having a holistic and multidisciplinary education? Is that they have taken this from our earlier, as I have already told you, that from the Gurukula system. The aim of this education is acquisition of the knowledge for preparation of the life and beyond schooling. So it should not be a by-hearted and exam-oriented kind of an education. Actually, the concept has to be absorbed by the students and as well as implemented by the students in reality, where in future it should be like that the students who are coming out of this such kind of degree programs should be able to directly able to solve the realistic problems, the practical problems that are in industry, in higher education and everywhere in government organizations. So that is the aim. Now, when we are talking about the structure of NEP and with respect to the holistic and multidisciplinary education, in part 2, the higher education emphasizes on this particular point, and that's why I think the college has taken this topic as an important topic of discussion here. So now what is this expected here? So this is what is expectation I'm talking about in this one, and how it will be beneficial to the students and the society, that we will talk later, and a small thinner line of how it can be implemented. Okay, there are various possibilities. Very great experts are there, academic experts are there, who are involved as an advisors to the various state level committees, and who are framing this kind of a implementation policy. The actual policy is in place. Now every state has been asked by the central government to form a NEP implementation committee. So that implementation committee of every state has to come up with an implementation policy, and that implementation policy to have a holistic view of multidisciplinary higher education. Now, what is expected in NEP is that by 2030, we are already in 2022. So within the next 8 years, there has to be at least one multidisciplinary higher education institution, HEI, we refer it as, in every district or a nearby of the district, at least one. And by 2040, it should all the institutions should be multidisciplinary in nature. There cannot be a single disciplinary. So I will come to that point, what they call it as multidisciplinary. Now we have colleges which are arts science colleges, arts commerce colleges, science and commerce colleges, management colleges, okay, engineering colleges, medical colleges, right, architectural colleges. So these are all single stream colleges. Okay, single stream education is being taught over there. What they are asking us is to change into a multidisciplinary by 2040. Okay, so 2030 we are expecting that at least per district there will be, even if the other institution are not able to change immediately from a single discipline to the multidiscipline, at least per district there should be one HEI which will become a multidisciplinary. But 2040, all the colleges and institutions should be as a multidisciplinary education. That is the first point. So we have to work towards that. So here, HEI means university. It can be a university or it can be a college. Basically, they are talking about autonomous colleges, which are going to become not only autonomous colleges. In NEP, slowly all the affiliating system will be vanishing. There won't be any affiliation in nature. all the colleges will become independent higher education institutions. So there will be autonomous colleges and there will be universities. This is the kind of a structure they are trying to bring. So here, what the university will be offering, they will be offering the undergraduate programs and also postgraduate programs, as well as the research, which is very, very important, as well as the student should be engaged in community services. These higher education institutions, which are either universities or colleges, they have to existing education, higher education institution, they themselves have to transform into a very big, larger multidisciplinary education colleges, as well as the knowledge hubs or clusters. So I will come to that point of what do you mean by clusters here, which will be aiming at least 3,000 students per institution. So that means we are trying to increase the gross enrollment ratio. Sometimes we feel that the admission is very poor. This year the admission is poor, and this admission is poor only for certain streams. But if you are looking at the statistics of how many students have gone for higher education, who have stopped in the school level and have not come to the college level, it is much more. I think last year's statistics, only 12% of the total population has gone for a higher education. So it is a very, very, very less amount. So we are aiming at every institution at least should have 3,000 students. So more students. That is what the aim is. So how we can bring that? So that is how we are going to make it as a multidisciplinary institution. Then how we are going to attract the students toward that. How we are going to make them get an overall development which is very essential for their life. So in the new systems, it is speaking about two types of universities. One is research intensive and teaching intensive universities, and then the autonomous colleges, degree granting colleges. So every institution will be a degree granting college. So university will not be providing the degree, the colleges will be providing the degree. So when it is coming as autonomous degree granting colleges, they will be providing undergraduate courses. The focus will be more on the undergraduate courses. Okay. Now, second. So now let us look at why we want to have this kind of an education, how it is going to be benefited. It is developing all the capacities. The student has to improve upon intellectual, the brain has to work, the logical power, logical thinking has to improve, the aesthetic sense of the student, the social problems, how it can be solved. There has to be a connect between every student with the society. Physically, they have to develop their health, their physical education also coming into picture, sports and other things. Emotional also, psychology is coming into picture, and the moral values which we have to inculcate in our today's students. So it has to be a holistic kind of a development that the student has to get. That is why it is known as holistic and multidisciplinary education. So this will help develop a well-rounded individuals. The student will be an overall developed student, though they will be skilled in a particular area in their disciplines, but overall there is a development. So every student will be having a good communication skills. So in future we have to see that whether it is in English as a medium or the regional language as a medium, in any language where they want to talk to people, how to communicate with peers, how to communicate with elders, how to communicate with in interviews, how to prepare for interviews. So the communication skills and how to have a personality development, overall personality development, the gestures, the body language, all these things will be coming into picture. Our overall development will be made. So a long-term plan of this holistic and multi is it is not only being going to apply in this kind of a BSc, BA or BCom kind of programs or a BE kind of a programs, post graduation also, as well as the professional studies. Like it is not like we are not going to leave the professional kind of a law or MBBS kind of a professional studies, technical studies, ITIs and vocational disciplines, because now what is vocational disciplines are focusing is only on those skills. but not on the overall development. So we are going to bring the overall development not only in the mainstream education of arts, science, commerce, and engineering, but also on all the education programs. So this is known as holistic development. So what it includes actually, the curriculum, it should be a flexible curriculum and it should include credit based courses. Of course, we are already having credit based courses, but then how the credit is going to play a role, how much of total credits is required, what kind of a credits is required. Like in your main core subject, how much credits is required, how in a minor subject, how much credits required. Now, when we talk about holistic development, that means we are talking about vocational courses. We are talking about environmental courses. We are talking about value education courses. So there are some credits specified for all these things. So how they are going to occur, how the curriculum can be developed, and how the students can be engaged in community services, in projects, in the industry related projects, in internships, everything will be included in the curriculum. Now, when we talk about environmental education, so what will they learn in environmental education is like about climate change. Everybody should be knowing the cause for the climate change and how we can, the drastic change in the climate, how we can prevent it from further damage. So every individual, every citizen should be knowing about it. So climate change, pollution, of course, it also falls on the same category. Waste management, sanitation, conservation of biological diversity, that is known as biodiversity, management of biological resources like planting of trees, protecting them, watering them, uh, uh, producing electricity so that we are having enough saving of water. So forest and wildlife conservation, so properly seasonally the respective season will be coming, and now it is mis-seasoned, we can call it as. So in the summer there is a monsoon, in the monsoon there is a summer. So this kind of a climate change we need to avoid. So the students will be developing an idea of everything about the environmental education. When we talk about the value education, then again, as already told, humanistic, ethical, constitutional, what is law, what is truth, what is satya, what is dharma, what is righteousness, what is shanti, peace, love. So it is the development of a human being. And citizenship. We can see that we are too selfish now, and we are not bothered about anybody when we are going in public. We are only bothered about what we want and how we want to do. We are not bothered about others. So we need to have some kind of a public awareness, civil awareness, lessons in seva and service, community service. So all these things will be coming under value education. So actually what it includes is, apart from their disciplines will be there. Their discipline, for example, somebody wants to do chemistry, somebody wants to do physics, they will be doing that. But apart from that, there will be the project based internships. Each of the courses, whether it is environmental education, value based education, everything will have some kind of credits, and it is necessary for them to do that for getting a degree, and all will be credit structure. Now let us look at the structure. So the structure of the program, now you need to look at levels. These are 4.5, 5.0, 5.5. These are all levels, because school education is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So since that's why I mentioned about the school education in the beginning, it has 4 stages. So 1, 2, and 3, and high stage is known as 4. Now after 4, we have to have 5. We have to have 6. But what we are doing in NEP is that some expert might have already talked about multiple entry and multiple exit. Okay. So we are allowing the students to come back again and continue their education to get a degree. Now, if a student is enrolling for a bachelor's degree of honors, a 4 years program, so it is going to be uniformly 4 years program. So it is not only for engineering, but also for other bachelors. Also, it will be a honors program known as bachelor's degree honors. So there will be a research program known as bachelor's degree research. And the current engineering will be continued as bachelor's degree engineering. Okay. So what we are having as a bachelor's degree is of 4 years. But in that 4 years, the first year, the student is completing the first 2 semesters, then the student is not, whether the student is not willing or not willing, the student will be awarded a certificate. If the student is stopping there and coming back again, they can directly start from the second year onwards. Till that time, whatever they have learned, they have possessed a certificate. Similarly, the level 5 is known as diploma after completing the second year. Now, after completing the third year, that is 5.5, level 5.5, they have a bachelor's degree, which currently we are doing with arts, science, commerce, management colleges like BSc Computer Science, BSc Physics, BSc IT, BSc BCom, BA kind of degrees, which we are having, that is coming under 5.5. Now, after that, they are going for bachelor's degree in honors or research or engineering, that is known as level 6. Now, here, when the student wants to continue the higher education, that is the PG level, now you have, if the student is, currently the eligibility to pursue a postgraduate diploma, they should be a degree holder. So our degree starts where in 5.5, that is bachelor's degree. Okay, so after 3 years of this bachelor's degree, if somebody is enrolling for a postgraduate diploma, PGD, which is of 1 year of 2 semesters, then after completing that, they are acquiring a level known as 6. Okay, because it is not exactly the PG level which we are having as a master's program. So master's program will be 6.5. Okay, so one second. Now, if the student is after their bachelor's of honors degree, that is this bachelor's of honors or either the research, the 6.0, if they are completing that and then they are coming for a PG diploma course, then it is known as 6.5. Okay, that is 1 year, 2 semester. Now, for engineering students, AICT, now currently they are under AICT. The first 2 programs are under UGC, that's why it is written at UGC. But in future, all will be becoming one regulatory body. Now, AICTE, they are talking about one PG diploma program of 2 years, which is after completing the engineering degree, which will be already they are in 6, so it is called a 6.5. So point number 2 and Roman point number 2 and 3, wherein they are already completing 6. That's why it is they are going to 6.5. Whereas the point number 1, they have completed only 5.5. That's why they are going to level 6. So this is the structure of the programs. Now coming to the credit structures. UGC has already defined, this is available in UGC site and in the circular also. Many circulars are coming everyday basis from UGC and you can refer to that. They have defined the courses, what kind of a courses can be taken. So since the entire country is going for a transformation of education, now if it is left to you, left to me, left to each and every individual, then we may come up with different kinds of thought processes. So having a very good large amount of team of experts all over the country, they have framed the codes and the courses for the courses against the course. So 0 to 99 are known as prerequisite courses. The prerequisite courses are with no credits. Why it is known as prerequisite courses means, prerequisite courses, earlier we used to call it as a bridge course. So now the student is coming up. In the eligibility, we might have allowed for a student with mathematics. For example, in our case, in University of Mumbai, we have BSc IT program. In BSc IT, mathematics is compulsory. But we are allowing plus 2 science stream, whoever taken science with mathematics, and we are allowing also commerce with mathematics. But when you are looking at the 12th mathematics of a science student and the 12th mathematics of a commerce student, there may be some syllabus difference. So the important points of a science may not be captured in commerce and vice versa. So when it comes to BSc IT, if that there is a gap of the conceptual understanding of certain concepts of mathematics, what we do, we conduct a bridge course for those students who are coming from commerce as a background in 12th. And then we give a certificate for them. It is not included in the curriculum as credits, but it is only to make them understand the basic conceptual concepts. So the similar way, they have formalized it. Earlier it was like a bridge course, and the bridge course was not playing any role. But then here it is, they are formalizing it, though it is not having a credit, but it will have certification. It is included as a part of curriculum. So prerequisite courses are there. 0 to 99 are the prerequisite courses which are defined by UGC. So what are those prerequisite courses? 0 to 99, you can go and then you can see all the courses which are listed. What are the subjects mentioned in that? So similarly, when you are looking at basic foundational courses, which will be a prerequisite for the major courses, that is coming under 100 and 199. So we have to look at these codes, which category it is coming in, whether it is a prerequisite for any program and prerequisite for your major. So prerequisite for major courses, say for example 110 to 115, the codes are the prerequisite courses for BSc Computer Science, for example I am giving. So that 110 to 115 courses should be adopted in your syllabus, in your semester 1 as a basic foundational courses. Okay. So what in the syllabus, how it has to be structured, UGC always give guidelines for structuring the syllabus. So basic foundational courses you should have, then intermediate level courses you have to have, that will be subject specific courses, then high level specialization subjects you have to have, then advanced courses you have to have. This is the step by step you have to frame the syllabus right from semester 1 to now it is in the 4-year program, it is semester 8. So that why basic foundational courses, it is going on in a sequence. So these courses will be essential for the major courses. Intermediate courses will be essential for prerequisite for advanced level major courses, specializations. And high level specialization will be either it is a disciplinary course or an interdisciplinary course, and there will be advanced courses. Okay, so seeing this course, and here 500 to 599 onwards, it is talking about the PG programs, PG diploma and proper PG program like MSc, MA, MCom, MBA, etc. Then what should be there in the first year level and what should be in the second year level, that's what is being listed. And the courses that are very essential for research is also given, that is from 700 to 799. Is there any message?
No, ma'am. Somebody has by mistake raised the hand.
Okay. So I think I'm able to give some meaning to whatever I'm talking about. So if there is anything, you can stop me in between. So the course and the levels are already given. We need not do anything. We have to just refer to the UGC circular. This is only for UG 4 years program. Is this from 099 to 400 to 499. Now PG programs, I didn't give the heading, but then it is again, this portion is only for PG and then the last one goes for PhD. So this is the structure we have to give. So what we have to do, autonomous colleges, you will be having your own board of studies. You will have board of deans, we call it as here, or faculty meeting, what you call it as in your state level boards. Each state will have slightly different kind of nomenclature for the different academic bodies. So we have board of studies, then we have faculty meeting, and then we have board of deans, then we have an academic council. If a new program is there where any financial matter is involved, then we go for our management council. So like this it goes. So when it is purely an academic matter, like revision of syllabus or something, then it goes only up to academic council. So various bodies are there. Now autonomous colleges also will have its own board of studies, its own BOD, its own academic council. Universities, of course, will be having all these bodies. So now what a university or a college should do is that go through this UGC circular, and what if you are having a UG program, if you are having a PG program, and slowly, as I said, autonomous colleges will be more focusing on the UG programs. Okay, so try to pay attention to UG programs. Universities will be paying attention to both UG and PG as well as research. So more focus will be on PG as well as research. Okay. So when you are talking about it, go through the codes. What is zeroth code means? What is first code means? What is the subject? Where it can be added? For which program it can be added? Which curriculum it can be added? So this is the level that you need to have multiple sittings and multiple kind of discussions you need to have at your end going through this course. Okay. Now the codes we are getting and how we have to frame the credit structure also we have to see. So as far as the subject name, the nomenclature can slightly differ. The permissible ones will be given in the UGC itself. So you find out which are the programs that, since you can see from this 0 to 99, 100 to 199, definitely they have tried to include all the types of nomenclatures that we are using currently with any kind of subjects. Okay, so I don't think that they would have missed out any kind of a subject in this kind of a bigger list. So you can find out the subjects in this, and then we can go accordingly. For prerequisite courses, what are the things that you want to have for your major? Basic foundational, for example, if you are having, since I am coming from IT line, I am giving an example of IT. So it can be for BCom, BA or BSc, anything. What kind of a basic foundational courses you can have between 100 and 199 intermediate ones. So we have to select from this. And then further we have to proceed in framing the entire syllabus. Now coming to again the multidisciplinary in nature, we have the distribution of credits across multidisciplinary 4-year program or 5-year integrated PG programs also. Now how the credits are given, how the importance, the weightage, how it is given. We will look at the weightage. So disciplinary or interdisciplinary. So it is like major. What is the difference? Disciplinary in the sense like focusing on one kind of one discipline, or that can be interdisciplinary. That means the child wants to get a degree of in an interdisciplinary subject. Okay. Say for example, if you are looking at biochemistry, it cannot be actually called as a disciplinary. It is a interdisciplinary subject. Whereas chemistry or a biology is a disciplinary subject. Okay. So disciplinary or interdisciplinary major one subject, core subject. That total credits should be minimum 40 to 56 credits. Then interdisciplinary minor subject has to be taken. So I will talk about what is major, what is minor later on. Now just to have it in your mind that we have to have a major subjects in our curriculum right from the first semester to 8th semester. Then we have to have some minor subjects which are from semester 1 to semester 8, but minor need not be in all semesters. That your board of studies can decide on that. Then as we said that we are focusing on some vocational studies, the skill based or vocational, 12 to 18 credits are allotted to that. Then we have this field projects, internships, community engagement services, apprenticeships, etc. If you look at this, 24 to 32 credits. So minimum 24 to maximum 32 credits are allowed. But per semester, it should be only maximum of 6 credits. So you can't have a field project in one semester and give directly 24 credits. It's not allowed. So every semester there has to be either one of them. So if you are saying field project in semester 1 and you are asking in say 4th semester or the 6th semester, you are asking them to go for an internship. So that can be of some credits. Then if they are doing some community services, that can be of some credits. Like this, you have to divide among all the semesters, and totally it should be at least a minimum of 24 credits or up to 32 credits. Like this. So see to that in every semester it is not exceeding 6 credits. Now the last point when you are looking at, it is about remaining credits. The remaining credits means here I can say they are saying like they are recommending, UGC is, the NEP is recommending 120 credits for UG degree program, that is BSc BA program, and 160 credits for a honors program, that is a 4 years program. So we are going to have 4 years program, so we will keep it in mind as 160. Okay, so this 160 credits, so 40 to 56 credits of all the semesters should only focus on your major. At 20 to 28 credits of the subject you have to choose in such a way that 20 to 28 credits are allotted for your minor subject. Then the skill-based vocational base is 12 to 18 credits. Then 24 to 32 is for this field projects and etc. So if there are some remaining, there will be some remaining credits. If there are no remaining, you don't go to the maximum of credits in everything. So keep some credits out of 160. There will be some credits, and those credits will be given for ability enhancement, generic or open electives, ability enhancement, language, environmental studies, value education, all this overall development what we talked about. So there it will go the remaining credits. So they have not specified these many credits for this. So remaining thing of minusing all the above one, where whatever is remaining that you can allot for the last point. Hope this is clear. Now coming to, we were talking about major, minor, electives, etc. Disciplinary major, or it can be called as a core subject. Mandatory, which is a mandatory one, and electives, mandatory electives also will be there. Okay, so we have major, disciplinary major mandatory, disciplinary elective mandatory, disciplinary or interdisciplinary minor, which has to be taken, which will not be mandatory for every semester, but there has to be some minor as per the previous slides credits, 20 to 28 credits. So when you talk about major, or when you talk about the electives which are mandatory, we will come to minor courses later on. Now you can see department specific major or department specific course, core we can call it as. Subject specific, they call it as otherwise subject specific. So normally the term used in NEP is DSC. DSC means department specific course. That is the core also you can call it as course. School specific course. Then faculty specific course. The DSC, SSC and FSC. So the other one is to understand what is department specific, it can be the subject specific. School specific means depending upon, it can be little bit interdisciplinary in the sense like related subjects that we will see now. So faculty specific core means depending upon faculty of science, within the faculty you have to choose. So how it can be done, let me tell you this, what it is about. First let us look at the students who will be taking a major from the major of mandatory. Let us look at it. So how many divisions we are having? Department specific, department or subject specific, that is DSC. It is a single discipline course because we ourselves are saying it is specific. So how it will be? For example, with an example I will tell you. The students who are going to enroll themselves for the 4 years degree program, so it is known as honors. So when I say BA honors or BA research, okay, BA honors or BA research, or in BA it doesn't come as engineering, okay, so it can be either honors or research. Now I am more focusing on arts and commerce colleges, so there it is only BA honors or research will come. So BA honors or BA research in philosophy, BA honors or research in history, BCom honors or research, BSc honors or research in mathematics, BSc honors or research in chemistry, BSc honors or research in computer science, BSc honors or research in physics, BA honors or research in music, or BA honors or research in Tamil as a language, English as a language. Okay, so this is what they mean by department specific or a subject specific core subject, the course. Okay, so it is similar to what we are having right now. So what are the core courses that we are having here as per the examples I have given? Philosophy, degree of philosophy, that is BA philosophy, which is earlier known as BA philosophy, it is known as BA honors philosophy. BA history is known as BA honors history, BCom known as commerce, BCom honors in commerce, Then BSc Mathematics, BSc Chemistry, BSc Computer Science, BSc Physics, BSc Music, BSc Tamil, BSc English, BA Tamil, BA English Literature. Okay, so this is how we are having. So this is known as department specific. Okay, this is it is reflecting exactly what we are having right now. Now, what is this school specific means? School specific is we have a school concept now which is coming in all the universities. The departments are now merged and they are related subjects are merged together. Interrelated subjects we can call it as. For example, if you are having School of Life Sciences, School of Mathematical Sciences, School of Physical Sciences. Okay, I thought some question is there. So, School of Mathematical Sciences. So, we have heard about in universities, we do have some. In colleges, we do not have. But in universities, we have the schools concept that has come now. There is School of Life Sciences. Now, if school specific major, if you are going to have, then how they can have it is in a BSc Honors. So, we will have the degree as BSc Honors in Life Sciences. Okay, it will not be like botany or zoology. If you are going for subject specific or a department specific, it will be BSc Zoology, BSc Botany. Now, when we are going for school specific, then it will be BSc Life Sciences, BSc Performing or BA Performing Arts, like that it will go. So, if BSc Life Sciences, what are the subjects that will be they will be studying as major subject is botany, zoology. Then they will go for either biochemistry or microbiology. But the final year, their degree will be awarded as BSc Honors in Life Sciences. Though they will be studying botany and zoology, they are interrelated subjects. That's why they are learning that. But their degree will be known as Life Sciences. Whereas in the earlier one, that is department specific, it will be BSc Zoology, BSc Botany, like this they will be doing. Say, for example, BA Honors Performing Arts. That will be involving theater arts, music, dance, etc. So, final degree will be BA Honors in Performing Arts. That's how they will get. Say, for example, if you are having BA in Honors or Research in Social Sciences, they will have majors like History, Sociology, Philosophy. Otherwise, now what we are having, BA Philosophy as a separate program in a separate department, BA Sociology separate department. Now it will be school concept. So it is BA Sociology, School of Social Sciences. So under School of Social Sciences, it will be BA Honors Social Sciences, BA Honors. Under that, they will be learning history, sociology, philosophy, like this. So this is about school specific. When we talk about faculty specific, now this is a very little bit a twist kind of a thing, wherein a student is allowed to choose two different subjects as majors for the first 3 years, but one subject will be taken as a major for their degree. For example, physics and chemistry belongs to the same faculty, that is science faculty. So they have to choose from the same faculty. That is why it is faculty specific core. So science faculty, physics and chemistry, mathematics and physics, like this if they are going to take. So physics and chemistry, two subjects they will be taken as major for the first 3 years. But in the 4th year, they are given a choice whether they want to go in the physics line or they want to go in a chemistry line. So the choice is at the last year. Student can change their mind from physics to chemistry also at the last year. Similarly, if you are looking at sociology and Marathi, or sociology and Tamil, sociology and English, philosophy and English, that is coming under the faculty of humanity and arts faculty, arts and humanities. Okay, so within the faculty, you are going to have the, I don't know about the faculty structure in other states. In Maharashtra, we have 4 faculties: science and technology, arts and humanities, commerce and management, and interdisciplinary is one faculty itself. So among this, we call it as 4 faculties. Now, according to your state education, your state act, Tamil Nadu Act of Education, you have to see to that what are the faculty that are available and within that faculty you can choose the majors. Even 2 subjects are allowed for the students, but in a final year, whatever the major they are taking, that is known as their degree. That degree they will be taking. Now, similarly, you are having electives. In electives also, you will be having department-specific electives, school-specific electives, faculty-specific electives. So those courses are known as DSE. Instead of C, it is DSE, SSE, and FSE. So that is given here, department subject specific DSE, SSE, and FSE. So what is this about is, again here, the departments are supposed to give a basket of a pool of credit courses for a particular subject in the department specific subject. Then it is known as a department specific or a subject specific elective. For if suppose a student of BSc honors in physics, what kind of an elective they can choose is they can choose from DSE, that is department specific. Since it is BSc physics, that it is a department specific major, right? It is not physical sciences, it is not school concept, so it is BSc physics. They can choose another elective from DSE. So DSE for electives, you can have a pool of a basket full of so many credit courses. Similarly, SSE also will have, and FSE will also have. They can even take the electives from FSE or SSE for DSE also. Electives can be chosen. For DSE, you can choose the electives from FSE and SSE. But for SSC and FSC, that is the majors who have taken school-specific core and faculty-specific core, they cannot take from their own electives. They have to take from multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, that is from other majors. Okay. So there is a long way to understand the concepts. Now this is one, we were talking only about the majors. Now the last point here in this slide is a minor course. So what is minor course? Is the students apart from the major can choose a minor subject, which can be a courses. Again, it will be pool of a basket of courses which will be given by the departments and or the schools. 6 to 8 courses will be taken for 2 to 4 credits, which will be leading to a minor. So one important point which I would like to tell you is that is student will be taking minor as a part of the curriculum. It is compulsory, and a major also they will be taking. So they will get a major degree as BSc Honors Computer Science or BSc Honors Life Sciences. Apart from that, they will get a minor degree also. Say for a minor degree, example I will say, students who have opted suppose botany as their department specific core. Okay, so they are BSc Honors Botany. Okay, department specific core subject. So they can choose minor subject as horticulture, crop science as minor elective, and they will be awarded a minor degree in that. This is not an elective, this is a minor course. Elective is what already we have described as DSE, FSE, and DSC. Okay, so what the students are doing, they are selecting majors, they are selecting minors, and they are selecting electives. Okay, so this is about how the structure is being brought up. Now here also I have given an example is, suppose with BSc Computer Science, if you are taking DSc Computer Science as a major, if Computer Science as a major, okay. Now in school concept, it is a school of computer sciences. Suppose let us consider a school of computer sciences we have. So in SSC, it will be the School of Computer Science will have various UG programs, that is BSc in Artificial Intelligence, BSc in Cloud Computing, BSc in Security. So this is school specific. Then faculty specific is like within the faculty, that is science stream. So they can take mathematics as one major, IT or computer science as another major. In the final year, they will choose either mathematics or IT. So their degree will be BSc Honors in Mathematics or BSc Honors in IT. Whereas in the second one, they will be having though they will be taking major as AI or security, what is the school subject name? It is computational sciences, suppose. So BSc honors in computational sciences will be their degree, but the majors will reflect what subjects that they have taken. So as I said that DSc course can take SSC or FSC, whereas FSC and SSC should take from other major disciplines. For example, if faculty specific, suppose you have taken mathematics and IT as your major subjects. So already faculty specific means you are already choosing something within your faculty. Now again for minor, you don't take from the same faculty. You take from other majors, other disciplines. Apart from mathematics and IT, you can take from sociology or a psychology subjects you can take. So what we are having a major, either it will be from DSc, SSC or FSC, and it will be having some electives, either it will be DSc, SSC or FSC, and there will be one minor, and there will be generic and open electives also. So when I give you the next table, you will be able to understand what is this structure is about. Now see, this is 4 years program, so we are having 8 semesters. In 8 semester in major, we can choose, as I said, either DSc, SSC or FSC plus DSE or SSE or FSE, that is the electives. So in the semester 1, you have to choose one major and one elective you can choose, or you cannot choose, you need not have an elective, but you have to have one major and one elective. That is what the proposed one. You can have one elective or one or two electives, which will be 4 to 6 credits. So here it is semester 1, major 4 to 6 credits, minor 4 to 6 credits. Generic means I said about general electives and open electives. That will be from other streams totally. How general electives are termed is, I can give you an example. For example, a commerce student want to do mastering Excel, MS Excel. So the Department of Computer Science can frame a credit course which is a open elective or a general elective, which is of 3 to 4 credits, and keep it in the basket for the commerce students or arts students to choose it, as the course name will be Mastering MS Excel. So that is known as general elective. Or the basic accountancy, the computer science student or a physics student should learn. So the Department of Commerce will be having in their basket a course known as Basic Fundamental Accountancy or Fundamental Banking Transaction for any public. What is debit, what is credit, how the transactions are happening. So for the fundamental idea of finance, some courses if the management and finance is having or the commerce department is having, that can be called as a general open. So usually the general and open electives are not chosen from their own subject. It is chosen from other disciplines, okay, to have a fundamental idea of all the other disciplines. That is why we call, again coming to the point, holistic. So the major, minor, generic is vocational skills you need not have in all the semesters. Then ability enhancement skills, Indian knowledge system, environmental life sciences kind of a courses, you can choose one. Internship you need not have in all semesters, or wherever you are having, it will be like a 2 credit, and somewhere it is 4 to 6 credits. So it depends upon your state also. So this is about our state, Maharashtra state. It has given this kind of a structure. So minimum 20 credits. So if you are increasing somewhere, suppose if you are going for a maximum of 6 credits, maximum of 6 credit in minor, maximum of 4 credits, okay, and maximum of 6 credits in this one. So it is crossing 20. But what they are saying is minimum 20. So it can be 20 and above. So like this, they have written for all major, minor subjects, how it can be chosen till 8th semester. And where some project internships are giving more importance towards when you go for 6th, 7th and 8th semesters. More credits are also given for that. So totally the students are getting 160 credits. So that is about the credits that we can implement. So implementation. So now having known this, we have to again actually sit with what the state is asking us to do. We have to see what are the infrastructures that we are having in our infrastructure. Is not only the physical infrastructure, but also human resource, the faculty, the administrative staff, as well as the physical infrastructure. And then phase-wise implementation is expected. It is supposed to be implemented by 22-23, but Karnataka, I think UP and MP have already started implemented from 22-23. Jawaharlal Nehru University and Delhi University and I think University of Hyderabad has gone in a phase-wise manner. Now here, if we are going to start from 23-24, then you will be starting a UG program and a PG program under NEP 2020. Current BSc can be considered as a 3-year UG program, and they can further go for a 2 years PG. Slight transformation you have to make there. Majors and minors, you can refer again to the previous slides which I have given, how the majors and minors can be selected. So the curriculum framing, now the first batch of UG will be there, first batch of PG can be there. Because those who already completed 3 years program, all the engineering students can very well pursue our PG. Okay, so now the PG credits will start. If you want some prerequisites for PG, then ask them to do the prerequisite courses and ask them to enroll for PG. Okay, that's all we have to do now. But actual implementation from the proper multiple entry, multiple exit, which they are talking about, like the certain issue of certificate, issue of diploma, will start only from 2024, because 23-24, when you are starting at the end of 24, you will be able to give certificate, but you cannot still give a diploma because the first batch is there. So in 25 you will be giving the diploma, the 26 you will be giving a degree, and in 27 you will be giving for the first batch student the honors degree. What they are asking you to do is that, suppose if the college is not multidisciplinary in nature, there are colleges like Art, Science, and Commerce College, easy for multidisciplinary. If there is a commerce college, it is a single discipline. If it is an arts college, it's a single discipline. So science college, it is a single discipline. Or science and arts college, it is two disciplines but not multiple disciplines. So you can either collaborate with the nearby institutions, or several institutions can come together and then form a cluster, and they can work with some programs. So how to form a cluster, and separately it is given in NEP. So you can refer to that. My current today's context is not with respect to that. It is about the holistic, what is mean by a multidisciplinary in nature. So here, again, here it is telling us under collaborative arrangement, the single stream institution can integrate with the nearby multi-stream institutions, especially when you are talking about teacher educations, the BA, B.Ed, BCom, B.Ed, and BSc, B.Ed. This kind of a multiple entry and exit programs can be thought of, and this is what overall structure how you can go about. Autonomous colleges, you have the autonomy with you, but if you are a single discipline or double discipline institutions, try to see that whether you can involve multidiscipline now, or with these two disciplines like arts and commerce or arts and science, you start within these two streams, at least start having some multidisciplinary. See, within these two streams itself, science itself means it is physics, chemistry, biology, botany, zoology, so many things are there, mathematics, statistics, etc. Similarly, when you are saying arts itself, all the languages will be coming into picture. Then your sociology, philosophy, psychology, everything will come into picture. So with this, whether you will be able to go for a multidisciplinary approach, producing the baskets, developing the baskets for others to take majors and minors, etc. That you try to do that. So this, I think, like I'm on time. 4 minutes I have passed for 3:30. I've taken the main references from the NEP 2020 policy document and also the Maharashtra state level NEP implementation committee report. I have referred to Education World, as well as Rajiv Ranjan's YouTube points on holistic and multidisciplinary higher education, and former vice chairman of UGC, Professor Bhushan Patwardhan, had given about an article about varsities can now adopt NEP, and whatever the excerpts of his speech I have taken as a reference for preparing this presentation. And that's all from my side. Over to you. Any questions are there?
Participants, if you have any queries, you can please unmute your mic and proceed. Participants, if you have any queries, you can please unmute your mic.
Ma'am, it seems there are no questions, ma'am.
Yeah, it's okay. Like anything is there, you can connect with me. I have given my email ID also. I will share the presentation with you, and you can share it with other participants as well. And
Okay.
anytime you can reach out
Okay,
to
ma'am.
me. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
An announcement from the organizers. The e-certificates will be sent to your register mail ID within 2 days after verifying your attendances. I repeat, an announcement from the organizers.
Feedback.
The e-certificates will be sent to your register mail ID within 2 days after verifying your attendances.
Attendance and feedback submission. சொன்னேன்ல.
I would like to call upon our beloved Madam Miss N. Malati, Assistant Professor of Mathematics and IQAC member, to propose vote of thanks.
Everyone, good evening to all. I feel honored to propose vote of thanks for this national level 5-day online faculty development program on NEP. First of all, I would like to thank our managing board members for their interest and continuous support to carry out our IQAC activities. I thank our well-wisher, our dynamic principal, Dr. S.M. Meena Rani Madam, for her constant support. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our IQAC coordinator, Dr. S. Sintana ma'am, for her valuable guidance and encouragement in all of our efforts. I owe my special gratitude to our guest speaker, Dr. R. Srivaramangai, Head of the Department of Information Technology, University of Mumbai, who shared her knowledge on holistic and multidisciplinary education in NEP. Madam, from your talk, we very well understood the 4 parts of the national education policy and its structure. Also, we came to know that only a holistic and multidisciplinary education will lead to the development of capacities in human beings. Thank you, ma'am. I extend my generous thanks to the participants from various colleges for their involvement throughout the session. I thank all the faculty members who actively participated and made this program a grand success. I express my gratitude to all the IQAC members and supportive staffs for their dedicated help in all our endeavors. Once again, I thank you one and all.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can I leave now?
Feedback.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Participants' feedback link is shared in the chat box. Kindly fill and submit it immediately. Participants, the e-certificates will be sent to your register mail ID after verifying your attendances as well as feedback submission. I repeat, the e-certificates will be sent to your register mail ID after verifying your attendances and feedback submissions. Once again, I thank all the participants from various colleges and our college for your zealous involvement and active participation throughout the FDP. Thank you, one and all.
இதுதான் செட் ஆயிருக்குங்க. அதுவும் செட் ஆயிடுச்சு. விஏஓ பையன் எவ்வளோ சொன்னா சேலரி? எங்க?